important that you be able to determine whether or not a particular relation is a function or not. And the way we do that is we look at the relationship between x and y variables. So if your x variables were 1, 2, 3 and your y variables were 4, 5, and 6, and for every variable x there existed one and only one variable y, then you could say there's a function. And to sort of address any confusion in that statement, let me draw you 3 pictures actually. And if I draw all 3 of these, you can see each of the scenarios. 2 of these are going to be functions, and 1 of these is not going to be a function. Okay, so let me go through this. First, in terms of terminology, x, okay, is your input in this case, and y is your output. Okay, x being input is also called the domain. So your input variables are the domain. Your output variables, y in this case, are the range. You need to know those terms. Okay, domain and range, input and output. X and y are just like the coordinates x comma y that you put on the coordinate plane. If I told you y equals 3x plus 7, your input is x. You can put a value in for x. Let's say x equals 1. And you solve for y. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 plus 7 is 10. So when x equals 1, y equals 10. That's your input. That's your domain. And y equals 10 is your output. And that's also your range. Okay, you got to know those terms. Going back to these 3 pictures, you know whether a relation is a function if and only if there's one value or one input x that has a single output y. So let's see. In this case, x is 1 and y is 4. X is 2, y is 5. X is 3, y is 6. For every value x, there is only one y. This is a function. Okay, let's go to this one though. In this case, you could see that for x equals 1, I have 2 output y's. I have for x equals 1, I have y equals 4, and I also have y equals 5. So what I have here is I have x being 1 and I have an output 4, and I also have x equals 1 and an output being 5. That is not valid in terms of a function. So this relationship here is not a function, this one right here. The last one here, I could see that for the value x1 I have an output of 1, but also for x equals 2 I have the same output y equals 1. That's okay. This is a function. It is okay for me to have 2 different x values have the same output. I have an x value of 1 having an output of 1 and an x value of 2 having an output of 1. That's okay. This is the only one that's not a function. Alright, so make sure you understand that. One of the things you can do to determine whether a relation is a function is you can graph it. Okay, and if you graph it, you can run what's called the vertical line test. And in the vertical line test, you basically do this. If this is my function, okay, this is the x and the y-axis, you run a vertical line through the function. You could pick any number of vertical lines, but if that vertical line intersects the function at only one point, here it intersected here, here the vertical line intersected here, here the vertical line intersected here, there is no place on this function where if I bisect or intersect with a vertical line, then I'm going to get more than one point. This is a function. Okay, yes, this is a function. Alternatively, okay, if my function was drawn this way, okay, and I asked you, is that a function or not? Well, in this case, when I run the vertical line test, when I write my vertical line, it intersects at 2 points. Okay, my vertical line went through at 2 points. That means this is not a function. Okay, so if the vertical line intersects it at only 1 point, it's a function. If the vertical line intersects it at more than 1 point, it's not a function. Hope that helps.